Welcome to Love and Lattes, the podcast designed for women who are ready to stop settling and start living a life full of authentic love, confidence, and real connection. I'm your host, Victoria, the self-love scientist, speaker, and coach, and I'm here to help you reclaim your power, deepen your relationships, and fall unapologetically in love with yourself. So grab your tea, your latte, or your favorite beverage, and let's get started. Hi, everyone. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by your emotions, unsure how to process everything that's going on? What if the key to your healing journey wasn't through medication or just another self-help audio? What if you could put your thoughts from with a pen to the paper? And that's why I'm so excited for this episode, because today I am speaking with Shawnti. Shawnti is a master certified mental health coach, advocate, speaker, and author who is passionate about guiding others through healing with guided journaling. After experiencing a mental breakdown in 2018, Shawnti turned to journaling instead of medication, uncovering a path to self-awareness, emotional resilience, and personal growth. Through her books, workshops, and coaching programs, she helps busy professionals, especially women, break free from mental, financial, and emotional stagnation. Whether leading transforming masterminds, hosting powerful live sessions, or dropping hard truths with a dose of sarcasm, Shawnti is dedicated to helping people reclaim their peace and fall in love with themselves all over again. Oh my goodness. Shawnti, hello.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm so blessed that you're here. And like everybody, right before we got on the call, Shawnti is a very, very passionate and very busy and highly sought after woman. So I'm very lucky that she gets to be on the podcast today. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's the other way around. It is a pleasure. It is an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Shanti. Now, I want us to dive in a little bit, and I want people to learn a little bit more about you and this and how you found your way through healing with guided journaling. So, would you mind sharing a little bit about your backstory and how this led to where you are today?
Sure, no problem. So back in 2018, I hit a literal wall in my mind. It was a full mental breakdown. And it was the kind that made you question everything, even your worth. And I was going crazy, literally. All these emotions started coming out, crying, yelling, screaming, cussing. I was doing the most, and I could not control it. And it started to scare me after about a month. I let it go on too long. So, but it was a month, and I went to my primary care doctor and told her, "Hey, I'm losing it here. What's going on? Am I going through menopause? Is this what you're supposed to act like?" And she was like, "No, it sounds like you're a little depressed. Let me give you some anti depressants." And I'm like, "No, I don't want that." But trusting my doctor, I took it anyway. And she said, "Come back in 6 weeks." And so I took them. They didn't do a thing for me. They did nothing. Absolutely. It was like nothing, did nothing for me. And so when I went back and told her, like, "Hey, this ain't working," then she was like, "Well, I think you need to go see a psychiatrist." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Black people don't go see psychiatrists. And she was like, "No, yes, they do. And I need you to go see it too." So I found one, because I had to decide, okay, are you going to go to jail for knocking somebody head off, or are you going to go get the help you need? So apparently I chose, to go to see the psychiatrist, and I let her know what was going on. And she too tried to give me antidepressants, and I was strictly against antidepressants. And the reason why is because antidepressants don't get to the root of your issue. It just makes you be quiet. It turns you into like no emotions at all. So you go from all of these emotions and then taking antidepressants, you're just like a robot. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't. I wanted to know why I was acting the way I was acting. So I finally found a therapist who was actually able to help me. I was diagnosed with severe anxiety and depression, and I wanted to do the soul work. That was just my personal preference, other than taking medication. I'm not against medication for anyone who needs it. If you feel like you need it, please take it. Shanti didn't want that to be her story. That's all. So I went to a therapist, and she introduced me to guided journaling. I had no clue what guided journaling was. I thought it was just, dear diary, this is what he did or this what she did. No, it is not that. She gave me some actual prompts that helped me to, go there. When I say go there, get to the root of my issues, to unpack my pain, to face my old wounds, and to sit with my truth, basically. And that, oh, that was very ugly. It was very hard, very ugly, but very necessary. Every page, when I started writing, it became a safe space for me to release what I couldn't say out loud or had forgotten about. A lot of the things that came up through journaling were things that I had suppressed, forgotten about, and I was able to give my emotions names and, to connect some dots that I didn't even know were there. And, like I said, it was messy, it was raw, but it was my story. And, over time, journaling helped me put the pieces of me back together and not the version of people who they expected me to be, but the version I was always meant to be. So it was more than healing, it was like a whole transformation. And so now I teach others how to do the same thing because staying stuck ain't cute at all. And, when you're silent, that doesn't mean you're healing. So guided journaling helped me to become, home to myself. And, I know it can help others too if they are willing to, face that stuff and put in the work.
Thank you, Shanti. That was a beautiful backstory. And the first time we chatted, when you said staying stuck ain't cute, I swear, I was like, I will forget this. And you share a lot of like powerful insights because, personally I can relate. Like I don't try to go for medications or pharmaceuticals because I feel that it's just a band-aid. It only
Yes,
serves temporarily and it can also do some long-term damage and it doesn't get to the root of the situation or the problem that we're trying to navigate. So I'm very
exactly.
proud for you that you navigate that. And you said you didn't give in to the first thing offered to you. You said, no, I know there's something more to this. And
Yeah.
when I think about guided journaling, what would you say is the difference between that and guided meditation for those who are more like an audio learner or just, tend to practice in that realm?
The only difference is you're not writing.
Mhm.
I'm guided everything. So I do guided meditation too. And guided meditation is basically someone literally guiding you, telling you, hold this for, for this many counts, focus on this. If you veer off to whatever you're meditating on, use my voice to come back, and it helps. So the difference is, with that, when you're journaling, you're actually writing, getting things out. When you're meditating, you're thinking and processing. In the end, it all has to come out. So do it all. Meditate on it and then write about it and get it out.
I agree. What is it about the guided journaling do you find is a very like healing process for your mind?
It gets straight to the point. Like I said, you have to tell me what to do, otherwise I'm just gonna be lost. And I know I'm not the only person like that out there. So, like the difference, how when we were younger, we had our little notebook and we was writing, "Dear Diary, Johnny did this, and Kim had this on the day," and yeah, that's journaling in a Dear Diary sense. But when you are actually journaling and know what you're journaling about, when you have guided prompts to help you, it helps you to stay focused on that one topic. You don't veer off into something that doesn't matter. You're able to, get to the foundation of whatever the issue is. So let's say, for instance, self-esteem issues. If somebody said something about you and made you feel a way, you can get in your journal and that specific, journal, because I have a journal about self-esteem, and you answer these questions. How did that make you feel? What happened? What were you wearing? Where were you when this happened? Things like that wouldn't normally come out if you were just writing free-handedly. So it helps you stay focused and get to the bottom of whatever it is that we're going through.
No, I hear what you're saying though. That's a really good point because I myself, I would say probably last year. Now it hasn't been consistent, but I have a journal now that's on my desk and I started just kind of mindlessly pouring out what was in my brain because I feel like this created this new connection to myself. And
Mm-hmm.
now recently with just like I have a lot of new things coming into play this year. So now I feel like I have to start asking myself these specific questions. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's like we're not getting to the bottom of this, are we?
Yeah, got to get to the bottom of it. And
Yeah.
that's the part that hurts. It's ugly. That's the ugly part, getting to the bottom of it. But once you get there and you recognize what it is, then you can do something about whatever it is you're trying to, fix or build up or whatever it is you're doing. Always get to the root of it.
And from your personal experience, when you were journaling and answering these difficult questions, what happened after that? Like, how did you find the consistency, or what led you to keep, how do you keep going though? Because I imagine like it is hard to sit in those thoughts and like start noticing what you're writing.
Once I actually got the answers out and onto paper, I started feeling lighter. Even though it was heavy during the process, like, oh no, I don't want to do this. Why is this stuff coming out? But after it was done and over with, it was like, wow, I feel lighter. I feel better. I want some more of that. So in essence, guided journaling is like my go-to. That's my drug. Because you write, and then you feel light and refreshed and like you could float on water or something. And it's a literal good feeling. It is a very good feeling, especially when you're unloading stuff you didn't even know it that, and stuff is just coming out and you wouldn't believe what you are writing. Like, I didn't know I felt this way. I didn't know I thought this. I thought this one way, but here go my pen telling me I'm feeling something else. So it's nice. It's great. It's like an indescribable feeling. And the best part of it is it's you that's in control. The answers are already inside of us. The journaling prompts just help those answers to come out. Because the first thing when we're talking, and if you ask me a deep question, I'll be like, I don't know. Yes, you do. Because that's what my clients do me all the time. I ask them a question. I don't know. Yes, you do.
Yes.
They keep saying I don't know, and I keep saying yes, you do. Let's write about it. And when we start writing, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was here. I didn't know I felt this way. Yes, you did. You just didn't want to say it. You didn't want it to come out. But guided journaling, those prompts will pull anything out of you, no matter how deeply they are buried and how, traumatic it might be. You have to address it to get it out because, it wasn't made to stay in you like that.
It must be very powerful to see that on paper too. Like you said, when your clients say like, "Oh, I don't really know." And personally, like that's a very similar question I'll ask my own clients is, "I know you don't know, and if you did, what would that look like or how would you how would you say this?" And I think with writing and having to write it down and face that directly
Hmm.
in your own, space must be a very like there's a power, a feeling of freedom to it, but also at the same time, I think it's very vulnerable to be like, oh
Yes.
shit, like that's there.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be literally get naked when it is time to do guided journaling because you're not doing anything but harming yourself if you're not willing to be open and vulnerable. I mean, it's not going to work for you if you're not willing to go there. And a lot of us expect other people to go there with us, but if we can't go there with ourselves, then oh, you're going to go there.
Now that when you mentioned that, I thought of the other conversation, and everybody, let me just tell you right now, because Shanti's always dropping these gold nuggets to me. And one of the things you mentioned in our conversation about the journaling and getting to the root cause was like as using guided journals for part of the healing process is because healing isn't meant to be in a microwave. And
Right, it's not.
I'd love for you to give our listeners a little more insight on that. Cause like when you said that to me, I was like, oh.
No, it's not. We are living in an age where we want everything right now, right now, right now, and right now. And when it comes to your healing process, you can't stick your trauma in the microwave and put it on 3 minutes and think it's going to be done and ready. No, this is an ongoing, repetitive thing that you have to keep dealing with until you're able to, say, okay, I'm healed. And how do you know you're healed from it? That's because you're not crying when you talk about it. If you still crying when you talk about it, then you're not healed from it. But that doesn't mean stop the work. You got to keep doing the work. And it's not going to be in 3 minutes. This is not McDonald's. This is not a drive through. this is an ongoing, repetitive thing. And if you're serious about your healing, you have to understand that first and foremost. They can come to us for our however long coaching programs we have, but you still got to do the work outside of the program. You have to do your homework. You have to, in your daily life, everything that we're teaching, they still have to implement that stuff. Otherwise, they've wasted their time and money that you don't get back.
No, you're 100% right. And I think that there's some really good, information there. I remember I had someone gave me a book because it was like unlocking your wild goddess or something. And they gave it to me because they were like, yeah, I know you're on this journey of healing yourself from being, separated and blah, blah, blah. And there
Mhm.
was journaling prompts. And I remember reading this book going, I'm not gonna do that.
You
And
were
then
ready.
I was like, you know what? I committed to it. Like I told myself I would read this book and do all the activities because it was like four chapters and the activities were throughout each chapter. And the
Mhm.
one guided journaling was like just a very interesting question, like around, my self-worth and how that really showed up in my relationships and how I gave into all these things that were no longer, that were not worthy of, what I really wanted and stuff like that. And I remember writing it and then sitting there and just looking at the words in front of me and being like, oh my God, this all makes sense.
Yep. It's different when you're thinking about it or talking about it, but when you write about it and you staring your answer in your face, you're looking at it, it just it makes sense. A lot of things for me made sense when I started my healing journey. Like, okay, that's why I was acting like that. That's why I say stuff like that. But now I'm more mindful and I'm more aware. I don't just say stuff like I used to and didn't care how I said it or who it hurt. I care now.
And then with your own journey, so now you developed your own guided journals that you're
Hmm.
working with others, navigating the same kind of process.
I am. Yep. My when my therapist broke up with me, I love to say that, even though, it wasn't like that. But I say she broke up with me, and she broke up with me after a year and a half. Because she said, okay, you have the tools. I see you doing the work. You know what you're doing. I don't want to be a crutch for you. So take the tools that you learned and continue on. And I did. And I went and bought a bunch of different notebooks. And so for every notebook, I had a different topic. So self-esteem, self-awareness, self-love, uh, getting to know myself, relationship breakup, you name it, unpacking emotional baggage. I had a different notebook for everything. I wrote my prompts out in every one, different prompts, affirmations, you name it, it pertained to the topic. And so once I did that, I did more healing work on my own. And I was like, you know what? Somebody else maybe could use this. I know I'm not the only one who is, wanting the help, but not wanting medication. Because when you go to a doctor, that's the first thing they're going to give you. They're not going to say, oh, go buy one of Shawnti's journals. No, they're not going to do that. They're going to say, here's a prescription for this. And either you accept it or not. And that's a great lesson that I learned, that we have to advocate for ourselves. Because a lot of times when we go to the doctor and say, hey, something's wrong, and they are quick to write a prescription. And you can choose to take it, or you can choose to say, no, I want something else. So always advocate for yourself. So I made those guided journals, and I had them published. I made them all cute on the outside, but the same deep, work on the inside. And I had them published and printed. And I started, going online, on lives and saying, hey, this is me. This is what I have. This is my story. This helped me. And then I started going out to vending events. And I would have, my little table with my guided journals, and people would come up and be like, oh, did you write these books? No, these ain't books. These some guided journals. And this is what, I started educating people on what it is, how it helped me, and how it could help them too. And at one event, I had the host come to my table and was like, okay, are you ready to talk now? I'm like, talk to who? And she was like, I need you to get up on stage. It's time for you to tell your story. You're hiding behind your journals. So I need you to quit doing that. Get up here and talk to these people. And oh my God, I died. I died like twice. But I went up there and I told my story. I say I had a nervous breakdown. This is what they tried to give me, but this is what I chose to do. And this was the outcome of it. And from there, people were asking, oh, do you speak at? Yeah, I guess so. So that's I never intended on being the speaker. So, but now I do. I speak. I do guided journaling workshops. I teach people how to actually use the prompts, how to use it to their advantage, and how to make it work for them. Teach all kinds of courses on self-love, self-esteem, self-awareness. I do it. You name it, I do it. In the name of mental health and journaling, I do it. Even if I have never done it before, I will go learn how to do it just so I can teach someone how to do it because I don't ever want anyone to feel what I felt or be in the position that I was in. Because you know that when we're going through our healing journey, we feel like we're alone. We feel like we're the only one on the planet going through whatever it is we're going through, and that's never the case. It's not, but it feels that way because we don't have anyone around us that's a positive support for us. So I do support groups too, girl. I do it all. But you're gonna journal with me. I don't care what I'm doing. You're gonna be journaling. Whether you want to or not, you're gonna be journaling. That's all I tell people.
Love that. No, I think having that, it's like a very like tough love, but I think the reality is like sitting with these hard questions, which kind of like brings up a really good question for you, for someone who is like navigating like their first, like I'm gonna start my journey and I'm gonna start, they can be inspired by this episode with the guided journaling. How do you
Mhm.
navigate, when it's a really tough question? Like personally, I remember reading specific questions that were about my relationship and my self-worth and even my sexuality. And I was like, I don't want to go there. And at the same time, I do because I need to address it. And I know writing these things out required me to be vulnerable, but it doesn't mean it was easy. So what would you recommend to people listening how they could kind of like take it in without being like, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I don't want to talk about it.
Well, it's normal to feel that way because it makes you look at yourself. It makes you examine yourself. So start where you are. Be honest because this is for you. This isn't for anybody else. Don't worry about the grammar, the spelling, the punctuation. Be 1,000% honest. You have to be honest with yourself. If you're not willing to be honest with yourself, then don't even waste your time because you're not going to have any progress. You have to be, yes, Shanti, you wasn't shit back then, and now, da, 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 da. You have to. It's hard to hear, especially coming from ourselves when a lot of us like to make people think we're perfect and we're just, oh, nothing goes wrong over here. Lies. You know, Stop lying to yourself and, get honest with yourself so you can get healed. So you can walk around proud of where you came from, how you overcame it. And then you go back and help someone else do the same thing and show them that it's possible.
Beautiful. Thank you, Shanti. So what kind of like now that you're speaking and you have these guided journals, like what are the different types of journals you have?
Ooh, girl, I got one called self-esteem. I have one called unpacking emotional baggage. I have one for couples called Our Bond. So it's like the same question for both whoever's in the relationship. You answer. You got to be honest though, and that's a way to uh, uh improve communication, because a lot of times we the things we say in our head probably won't come out nicely if we talk. So just write it, be more mindful. I have one about mindfulness. I have one about self-discovery. I have one about gratitude. I have one about restoring your relationship with God. You name it, girl, I got it. I have it. And those are really, they are all based on every issue that I was going through. Every last one of my guided journals. So if I have not gone through it, you're not going to see a journal about it. And I'm not going to talk about it either. And I'm not going to coach about it either. So anything comes out of my mouth or, through my brain is I've been there and I've done that. So now I know how to navigate. So now let me show you.
That's amazing. And where do you get the questions from? Like, were these like the difficult questions you had to ask yourself when you were on your journey as
Absolutely. A very difficult question. Like, who you think you is asking me this? Oh, it's me asking me this. Yes. The hard question. Yes. They're hard. They're hard. But not hard in a way that it'll keep you from answering them.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to face it. Own your stuff. Own it. And that's hard for a lot of us to do, especially when we come from a place where we weren't the best person, you know, or we portrayed ourselves to be one way, but we're really another way. That's very hard, but it's necessary. And it'll help you in the end. It will definitely help.
Mm, amazing. Can you give us one question as an example from one of your journals?
Oh, girl, yeah, hold on. See, you're gonna make me pull out my notes. Hold on, hold on.
Makes
Let's
sense.
I had a support group last Thursday. And what were we talking about? It was good too. It was so good I didn't want to end it. Let's see. Where is it? You didn't put me on the spot. That's all right. I'm ready, girl. Here we go. Last week we talked about what was this topic? Hold on, I'm coming. I had someone feel like in the support group, she felt like she was uncared for. She felt like people don't care didn't care about her situation. She felt like she really had this mindset that she was a people pleaser. So she had this mindset that, I helped everybody else and now it was time for me to get help and nobody cared. So I gave her some questions. Let's see. One of them was, when was the last time I felt unseen or uncared for? And what did I need in that moment? And that second part of that question is a question a lot of us don't even know half the time. Like, what do we need? What is it that you need? How do you expect someone to give you what you need if you don't know what you need? So that was one of the questions. And then I asked her another question. I said, in what ways have I overextended myself to earn love, validation, and acceptance? So, yeah, yeah. Woo!
That's that's
It
a big
makes you.
question.
Yes, it makes you. Yeah.
Yep. I'm laughing because that is a very powerful question. And that's because I was a huge avid people pleaser. And sometimes
Thanks, girl.
it's so easy to get caught up in things and not recognize how much you're pouring and giving of yourself versus
Hmm.
getting that back to you. So
Exactly. Which 9 times out of 10, you're not getting it back. Like,
mhm.
yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that question. I know that was kind of like spur of the moment, but I was like, ooh, let's get these questions going.
yeah. I'm ready, girl. I'm ready.
This is amazing. And then as we kind of close out our conversation, and I appreciate you because you are on a roll with these guided journals and support groups.
Thank you.
What would you recommend someone who is starting in their journey or like personally for me, my journey began when I hit that like you mentioned your journey, like you had that wall. And for me, it was like that dark moment of the darkest
Hmm.
soul, and that was my lowest rock bottom. However, I believe that we are capable of change before that even happens. So, what would you
Yeah.
say to those listening? Like, it doesn't have to be those walls, it doesn't have to be like a dark moment and of the soul. What would you recommend they could do to get started?
Be honest. Quit pretending like everything is roses and rainbows and daisies when you know it's not. Stop being oblivious. Take those rose colored shades off and actually look. Open your eyes, look, and listen. And there's help out there for everyone. I might not be your cup of tea, but there's someone out there. So don't ever think you have to go through this alone. There's too many resources out here, free and paid, that you can put yourself into to get the support that you need because your support is not your mama, your family, your good cousin, your good girlfriend. That's not your support system. It is not. Even though we want them to be, they ain't. Your support system is going to be, someone who has been where you are, who has overcome what you have overcome, and can show you how to navigate that process. That's a support system.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you so much, Shanti, for being on Love and Lattes, the podcast. I appreciate your energy and the work that you have done for yourself and then showing up for others is just so
Yeah.
inspiring. You've got this lovely fire and everybody is staying stuck. Ain't cute.
Ain't cute. It ain't. It ain't. It's not.
And for everyone listening, thank you so much for tuning in. And I'm going to have in the show notes links to Shanti and all of her resources and guided journals so you can take a peek and get started on your own to help with all of these overwhelming, feelings that are happening on the inside. We can get it out,
Yeah,
started.
exactly. Come on over. Let's get to work.